The plants do it again. Make sure you guys smash the link, grab out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So, another YCS in the books out here. I'm going to have a discussion this afternoon about the special announcement that we had for the 275th YCS out here. So, 275 YCSs in the books. YCS Chile happening the exact same weekend as Team YCS. Irrelevant. The hype around the 275th YCS. Irrelevant. Your breakdown for this event technically is irrelevant because Rage of the Abyss comes out in like 2 weeks, but, you know, still bookmarking this for the narrative of past format analysis. So, top 32, we had 11 Fiendsmith Yubel variants out there. Who would have guessed Yubel would be the strongest deck in the room? The fact that you have the Omni Negate and Varudis, the Phantom of Yubel, giving you the ability to reroute those monster effects into crushing Yubel's hopes and dreams, into a monster floating to the field, and into the grand finals with the power of Yubel redirecting double the damage to the opponent. Unheard of. Okay, had to get my hype out of the way out here. So there's that. We also had 5 Tenpai variants in Top Cut. So Tenpai actually still, like, in the current state of the decks, and it's not like Tenpai is this explosive, crazy deck by any stretch of the imagination. It's just very consistent, can smash through boards, and it OTKs like it's its job. Deck is nuts. We also had what are classified as 3 runic variants down here. Now, once we get into the top 8 side of things, you'll start to see this unfold into the White Forest side of the equation. So, you know, you can see that. We also had 3 Fiendsmith Chimera versions out here as well. I'm actually kind of surprised Fiendsmith Chimera kind of exploded in terms of numbers and representations for this side of the event. I don't know, I wasn't really expecting that, but it does show that, hey, the Chimera pile is still here. It's still an incredibly strong deck when it needs to be. Ritual Beast also was a very strong taker. Herman Hansen out here smashing through the competition, being the undefeated in Swiss all the way up to top 8. Very unfortunate for the loss, but seeing how that deck was performing was really good. We also had 2 Labyrinth versions out here in Top Cut. Still glad to see Labyrinth is still holding on. Now, we unfold into what was known as the other category. We had 1 Fiendsmith Voiceless Voice. We had a Snake Eyes Fire King and a Fiendsmith Fire King, so technically there are 2 Snake Eyes variations of this. Wow, Konami really did check that deck off of the map. We also had a Purely deck sneaking into Top Cut. Melodious, and the biggest surprise I think out of the Top Cut was the run that Plant Link actually had. Like, the deck went nuts through the upper portion of Top Cut, which was amazing. Now, top 8. Oh man, top 8 is quite interesting considering how much you've lost along the way out here in terms of, you know, your numbers. And I can't say that I'm not surprised to see the conversion, you know, coming down to this, because 3 Yubels, Yubel had such a strong showing through a majority of the Top Cut that, okay. We also had 2 Tenpai Dragons in Trusting, so still very strong turnover rate for that. We also had 1 Plant Link. Once again, that plant deck is doing its job through Top Cut. We also had the White Forest Runic deck. That deck was incredibly scary to watch. It was amazing to see. And then, of course, our Ritual Beast duelist, Herman, unfortunately his dueling career ends at this stage of the event, which is really, really a shame. Now, top 4 in the finals, we had 2 Yubel variants out here doing incredibly strong work. We also had our Tenpai and our Plant deck, and for those of you that did see the finals, it ended up being Yubel versus Plants, with Yubel taking down the event. Not all that surprised to see that, but Plant, man, Europe is just the craziest challenger with that deck. It's amazing to see. Let's pass on over to deck list. Starting things off here, we have Herman's very amazing Ritual Beast deck. Now, I know a lot of people look at Ritual Beast stuff and they're like, you know, like, Robbie, is this deck, like, good? Yes, it is, because board breaker, board breaker, board breaker. All right, your entire plan with this deck is to shatter your opponent, to be able to set up and play the game. And I will tell you, I think you have to be an incredibly strong player in order to play this deck. If you know the ins and outs for whichever path lines that you need to go down with this, you're going to do extremely well. Also, hello, dear old Protoss. Being able to have the floodgate conditional effect of controlling your opponent out of the game is bonkers. Do I need to repeat? Bonkers. All right. And also, Colossus soft locking your opponent. A lot of people do not still to this day have an out for this, all right? The fact that you deploy this floodgate, control your opponent out of the game is incredibly strong. I also do see we are playing Dominus Purge down here. I mean, sure, you get locked out of what? Dark Water Fire? Not really the worst stipulations in the world, but it is another hand trap that you can bring inside, you know, along with the Ashes and the Nibiru's out here, so that you can curve your opponent out of the game. I love the idea of actually having these hand traps work in synergy with each other, even though, you know, the Dominus Purge is a little bit rougher of a conditional effect, but this just proves Ritual Beast is a very strong contender and something that you do need to be aware of out here. Now, we don't have a lot in the Ubel sector to talk about. Actually, to be honest with you, a lot of the deck lists that are out right now for this event this morning, putting this together to showcase the event as a whole, it feels like there's just a lot of information missing. So the biggest thing about this first Ubel list we're going to be looking at here is we're actually playing a Kashtira package in here. You're doing the 1 Fenrir, the triple Unicorn, and the 1 Birth with the 1 race loss. So now that, you know, the format has been kind of dialed back and slowed down, we reach out to the discussion point here of, you know, do mid-range control cards now actually matter? It's a free special summon to get these things on the field so that you can just use them to kind of control your opponent. Also speeds up the point of, you know, can I get to the Underworld Goddess to control my opponent out of the game a little bit easier? And the answer is yes. Yes, indeed. All right, I quite like this. We're also playing one of the Escape of the Unchained here. This is actually pretty good to see that people are liking this right now. Card is actually pretty gosh darn good. This card is also very problematic in the course of the game, but I see what we're doing. So, your first list, seeing the Kashtira cards, completely different than most of the standardized opinions that I have seen thus far, but it does not mean that it's bad. It just means it's different. Now, we flip on to the other side over here to the more standard Ubel side of the equation. You know, once again, when you're looking at and analyzing Ubel, it's Fiend Toolbox. It's whichever side of the Fiend monsters that you need to help you out to get you to the perfect setup. We also did see sometime this weekend that somebody was testing out the 3rd stage for the extra body. It does happen, all right? Also, more people are going to the 3rd Phantom. This build is not playing the 3rd, which, I mean, understandably. So, I mean, this extra deck is so jam-packed. Like, it's actually kind of crazy. This is a really cool tech choice, though. The Archfiend Eccentric being a card that you can use to blow out your opponent's back row. Also, you know, being a pendulum scale to be able to do the pop. I love the fact that Archfiend Eccentric is back. Also, I mean, you get a monster removal off of this as well, which is also incredibly cool. You know, take your pick with the options that you've got handed to you here. Like, I like the diversity that we're seeing be present here. Also see we have Mulcharmies. This card was pretty broken. This list going back to the Abominable Chamber, but to be honest with you, I think Escape was just that much better this week. And so that's both of your Ubel variations and the ideas that they are bringing to the table for this very small micro format for what it is. And this, I believe, was made top 128, or no, it was top 138 out here, something like that. Oh, this list, we're doing Snake Eyes with DD Lamia. We have the Fire King package in here. Holy crap. We also are playing the White Dowston with the Unexpected Die to be able to set up. And we're also playing the Manadium Reframing just so you can search it off of the Vices. Okay, there's a lot to take in with this list. Like, genuinely, this is one of those lists that you take a second, you look at it, and you're like, huh? Like, what has possessed you to make these interesting tech choices out here to kind of find out the best optimal approach. And okay. Also do see we are doing double oak, double Flamberg. That's interesting. Once we get the Asmina package, I have a feeling that this is going to kind of shape up to be a little bit different. But for the most part, that's very, very interesting. Well, yeah, this is interesting stuff. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. And I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.